Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, we're going to be looking at a new Nidoqueen card. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting a new Nidoqueen, and I'll tell you what, there are things to like about this Nidoqueen. So, if we have a quick look at the basics here, we see that it's got 160 HP, which has been about the standard for big stage 2s ever since Sun and Moon came around and we got Dragonite. Retreat cost of 3 is high and kind of annoying. Weakness to Psychic is better than it used to be, but you've still got a shared weakness with Buzzwole, so you've still got people trying to take that down that will inevitably be taking you down, and you know, Garboda's going to cycle back around before too long. But being a Psychic Pokemon means you're hitting weakness against Buzzwole, so that's quite nice. Now, in terms of the ability here, we do have a translation from the lovely Tunu1223, and what we see is that once during your turn, you may search your deck for any Pokemon other than a Pokemon EX or GX, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Then you shuffle your deck. I know, right? It's literally any possible Pokemon that isn't an EX or a GX. And this is good. Searching out Pokemon are good, but it really depends on the context in which you're searching it out. So if we take a phenomenal Pokemon at the moment that does search out, we've got the Grovyle that came around in Lost Thunder. And the thing about Grovyle is it's a stage 1, and once during your turn, you may search for a grass Pokemon and put it into your hand. Now, at the weekend, I went to a League Cup. I played against a Sceptile deck run by a lovely dude called Austin, and it was brutal, ladies and gentlemen. Because what would happen is, turn 1, he'd get all his Trico down. Turn 2, he'd get a Grovyle, which searched for a Grovyle. And inevitably, the second Grovyle would search for a Sceptile, he'd drop a rare candy, and he'd be sitting there turn 2 with 2 Grovyle and a Sceptile down, and I'd be feeling a little bit sad. Well, Nidoqueen doesn't do that. Nidoqueen is great, but Nidoqueen is a stage 2. One of the things that makes Grovyle such a phenomenal card in Sceptile decks is that it helps you get the stage 2. And getting the stage 2 is a goal nowadays. This is great, but only after you've got the stage 2. Now, to be fair, getting the stage 2 is much easier than it's been for a long time. We've got Alolan Ninetales. So that evolves from Alolan Vulpix, and long story short, Alolan Vulpix for 0 energy searches out 2 Pokemon, turn 1. And then on turn 2, you drop the Alolan Ninetales that you searched. Search for 2 item cards, one of which at least will be a rare candy, and then you use that with the Nidoqueen, which is obviously the other card you searched with Alolan Vulpix, and then you're up and rolling. And the thing that's great about Nidoqueen here is that it allows you to keep rolling. So yes, the first Nidoqueen's a bit awkward, although Alolan Ninetales is still where you want to go with that. But the first Nidoqueen helps you get the second Nidoqueen, or maybe even Nidoking. More about that, probably tomorrow at this stage. Or it helps you get your tech Pokemon. So Marshadow at the moment, really good Pokemon. Really great for disrupting people. And we've all seen Unknown Hand. I did a video about that earlier today. Probably earlier today. It depends on the upload schedule. Probably earlier today. An Unknown Hand says you win if you've got 35 cards in your hand, an Unknown Hand in the active. Well, that's not terribly ideal. So what you do is you use Nidoqueen, and it guarantees that you have definitely got Marshadow on the perfect turn. One of the best decks when we're talking about Unknown Hand is using Virizion GX, because it's got a GX attack for 1 colorless energy that picks up all of your other Pokemon, and then, well, then it's your opponent's turn. And then hopefully, your opponent doesn't drop something like a Marshadow, and then you win the following turn when you get your Unknown Hand into the active. But you might not get chance, and if you're the player who's not playing Unknown Hand, Nidoqueen guarantees you've got this when you want to. It guarantees that if you can draw into a rare candy, you've got your stage 2. I mean, take something like Volkner. Volkner sees a little bit of play in some decks because it lets you search for a basic lightning and an item card. Clearly here, you can search for the rare candy, but you've still got to have the stage 2. Well, if you've got Nidoqueen out, Volkner gets you the item, and Nidoqueen gets you to stage 2, and you're off and you're rolling. It gives you very nice consistency. And the only question that really remains is whether it's enough. And it really is a stage 2 that's the bugbear here. Love that you can get your extra Pokemon, and it really is a 2 bonus thing. On the one hand, yay, I can get the rest of my stage 2s out more easily. On the other hand, yay, I can get my tech Pokemon out. And here's the thing, we're going to talk about the attack in just a second. But the reality is the attack is for colorless energy. So this can go into any deck you like. Doesn't have to be a psychic deck. I think that's quite important to bear in mind. So about this whole attack thing then, what do we see? Well, for free colorless energy, we do 10 damage, and 10 damage for free colorless energy, not particularly great. But then you do an extra 50 damage for each evolution Pokemon on your bench. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are absolutely rolling. 4 evolution Pokemon on your bench, you're doing 210. That's enough to get something like a Lycanroc. It would be enough to get something like Zoroark if it wasn't for the fact that Zoroark actually has a resistance to Psychic and hence will actually just survive. But then again, that's why Arceus invented Choice Band. This can add up very, very quickly. And it doesn't have to be stage 2s. You can get a couple of stage 1s on the bench, and all of a sudden this does a lot of damage. And there are some stage 1s you're going to want here. How about Magcargo? Magcargo gets you the Choice Band, and then Nidoqueen makes sure that you've got it later on. How about something like Zebstrika, which is a nice draw engine? Or maybe the recently announced Pidgeotto, which lets you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put 1 in your hand and 1 on the bottom of your deck. You can get a bunch of consistency cards here. And alright, Nidoqueen is what you're attacking with, but if you've got a Nidorina on the bench, that means you're still getting the extra 50 damage, ready to evolve up. And I like the idea of having a single Malamar on the bench here, because you need free energy to attack. Well, it's free colorless energy, so you've got double colorless energy. Life is good in that respect, but you will need a third energy, and Malamar works quite nicely here. So actually, if you've got an Alolan Vulpix on your bench, you've used it to get that first rare candy, well, there's an extra 50 damage. Yes, you might initially only be using it to get your Nidoqueen out, but it's then doing 50 extra damage. And then maybe you've got a Zebstrika, a Magcargo, a Malamar. And remember, you can play 1/1 lines very easily in a Nidoqueen deck because you can search them out very easily using Nidoqueen's ability. Now, of course, we do have to remember that if you do play a 1/1 line, there is a possibility that either the 1 or the 1, the basic or the evolution, will end up prized, and that could hurt you. But other than that, you can search them out quite nicely. And this is what I really like about Nidoqueen. I think there is a good Nidoqueen / stage 1 deck ready to be made. Because Nidoqueen has a really powerful attack and a really nice ability. There are just 2 downsides to Nidoqueen. Number 1, with it being a stage 2, you need a bunch of extra consistency. So play some stage 1 consistency cards. And number 2, you need that third energy. Well, play Malamar. And maybe playing Malamar, Zebstrika, Magcargo, Alolan Ninetales, whatever it might be with this, is what you need to both make it consistent enough and do the damage. Because if you've actually got 5 bench Pokemon that are all evolutions, you're doing 260. That is before Choice Band. Earlier today, we looked at Latias and Latios Tag Team GX. It's got 250 HP. That's a lot. You will one-hit KO it for free prizes with a single prize Pokemon, and you don't even have to use something like Choice Band. I think there's a good deck to be made here. I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would of course be barbaric. On the face of it, no, it's not the easiest to use card, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it is. But I am going to tell you that the ability is really nice, that the attack does a lot of damage, and that essentially you need to play a bunch of stage 1s to make it work, and you need to play a bunch of stage 1s in order to get the extra damage, and that seems to work together rather nicely for me. But maybe it doesn't for you, or maybe it does. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hear from you lovely people in the comment section. Go nuts, but please do remember the rule. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we can talk about Keyforge and Transformers and all that good stuff. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.